The Public Safety Committee meeting will now come to order. Have the committee members had a chance to review the minutes from the previous minutes?
Make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The minutes have been approved. Now for our new business, we have Chief Smith with our fire rescue annual report.
Good evening.
Thanks, sir.
I've got a hard copy. It's the same one
Thank you,
that
Chief.
was emailed to
Email.
you already.
I like that.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
You're very welcome, sir. And I won't go through and talk about every single page. You know, just looking at a glance back on page 4, total responses this year, we had 16,963 different responses. During the year, we did hire, we had personnel that retired plus vacancies that we had not filled the previous year. We did hire 10 firefighters. We had 1 dispatcher that had left, so we had to hire that position. Currently going forward, we're six employees, new employees starting on the 22nd, and then we'll have 4 more that'll start hopefully sometime in May, June. We're waiting for the next test before we hire that.
What's your authorized, Chief?
259 sworn.
Okay. So, and that's what you're at?
Right now, we're 4 short of that.
Okay.
So, one big good bit of news, we did go through our ISO this last year, and we did maintain our Class 2 ISO rating, which I thought was very well, especially since during COVID. They look at a 5-year period. We had a lot of downtime that we weren't able to train just because of the COVID restrictions. Looking at city responses, within the city of Tuscaloosa, we made 16,055 calls, 9,728 of those were EMS related. 2,605 additional calls were what we call low acuity, utilizing our EMD, emergency medical dispatch protocols through the 911 center. We triage every phone call. Every call for service gets triaged, either fire related or medical related, and we prioritize based off of the national or an international standard of which units we need to send to what types of calls. Low acuity usually were ambulance only. North Star would be responding to those. When they did not have a unit, of course, we responded. Some of those, they got on scene and they needed assistance with lifting, so we would have responded for those, but those will be also classified under the EMS type calls. Service calls, we had 1,258 for the year in the city. 1,600 fire alarms and 640 different types of vehicle structure, related fires, wood fires, and things of that nature. The police jurisdiction in the county there are associated. We had 908 calls for service there. Again, our highest number, of course, is EMS. Usually somewhere between 75 and 85% of all fire departments' responses nowadays, especially in career professional departments, it is EMS related. But you can see those numbers. Looking through by district responses, District 1, we had 2,500 responses.
Chief,
Yes,
before
sir.
we go into the district part, just a learning question for me.
Yes,
Out of the EMS calls, do y'all have any sense of how many were actually E?
For emergencies,
Uh-huh.
it's really sometimes hard to classify that. By utilizing EMD, 7,000 of them were within the city. You know, they did not get classified as low acuity. The low acuity are what we consider the less emergent or non-emergent type calls. They're non-life-threatening calls.
But I mean, when y'all come back from the call, out of those, however many it was, is there any hip pocket feel for, you know, man, we went out on 9 calls last night and 4 of them just needed an Alka-Seltzer and 2 aspirin.
And we do have that. You are correct. I couldn't off the top of my head, if I
Just
had to
from my
give you just
learning.
a guess, you know, probably out of the 9,700 calls, 10%, maybe more. EMS prevention is,
10% were emergency? Or
no, we're not.
10% were not, okay.
Out of that, EMS prevention has done a really good job in helping reduce and lower our our emergency calls to the same person. We track that, by address, by name, but also, they go out, they get referrals, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But they reach out, and that's their primary purpose, is to reduce the non-emergent 911 calls.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead
but-
by the end of the district.
In the justification of it, one thing might be an emergency to me, it may not be emergency to you, or vice versa. Again, District 1, 2,500, District 2, 2,900 calls, over 2,900 calls. District 3, 1,498. District 4, 2,200 2,200 calls. District 5, 2,158. District 6, 2,360. And District 7 had 2,345. And the way we break those down, again, is just like the big standard, or the big overall statistic we give you, is EMS related, the low acuity, how many we send are non-emergent, fire alarms, fires, service-related calls. Service-related calls are those types where someone needs help getting off the floor. They've fallen and can't get up. Help in from the car, help out to the car, going to the doctor's office visits, things of that nature. All those are service-related type calls. Hazardous conditions could be anything from wires down to gas leaks, things of that nature. We did make several pretty large events during the year that you'll be able to see throughout. There's some different pictures. Under our EMS, we worked 94 cardiac arrests last year. Out of that, we resuscitated 35%, which is not as high as we'd like to be. Of course, we'd like to be 100%, but nationally, we're in the running. Most departments see somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 35 to 40% resuscitation rates. Our rates have gone up. They fluctuate though month to month. It just depends on underlying medical conditions of the patient. But what we call and what we look at as far as our return to spontaneous circulation, our ROSC, is people that walk out of the hospital. That's what we consider a resuscitation. That is a rescue. That's a true resuscitation. Top 10 calls for service for medical, impression-wise: chest pains, general weakness, abdominal pain, general illness, which could be anything, altered mental status, shortness of breath, fainting, anxiety and emotional upset, convulsions, and acute respiratory distress are the top 10 types of medical calls we responded to this last year. We did transport 230 times to the hospital. Out of that, 134 of it were due to no ambulance available through our ambulance contract through North Star. 51 were city employees, retirees, dependent, health insurance dependents. 43 were prisoners, and then we had 7 which were provider choice. And what we mean by provider choice is our crews get on the scene and it's a life-threatening emergency and there's no time to wait for the ambulance. It's load and go to try to save a life.
Do we respond, or are we the exclusive responder to university? Who responds on campus?
We
We do.
Medical and fire, Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Response.
Dormitory, fraternity, doesn't matter.
Yes, sir.
Those false alarms have gone down.
But
They have, the university has
it used
done
to
a
be
real good
obligatory to
job.
pull the fire alarm at every fraternity party.
Well, that happens occasionally, but the university has done a real good job of helping us reduce that. They've worked real hand in hand with the fire marshal's office, and monitoring them. The way they're dispatched now, the alarm would come in, it would go to UAPD. UAPD sends an officer on any call we go on campus, they send an officer to. So a lot of the fire alarms, they actually will get there prior to our arrival and turn us around. Our EMS prevention, as I was talking about, their primary mission is to reduce the need for 911 or repeat 911 calls. Out of that, this last year, they did pick up 80 new clients over the year. Their average caseload was about 88 a month. They had 88 clients at one time. Of the 144 referrals, those do mainly come in from our personnel, from an engine or a ladder company that makes a response on a patient, and they identify this patient has additional needs. This call wouldn't have been made if they were able to afford to take their medication, or if they, were able to take care of themselves better. So through Brianna and Lauren, through EMS prevention, they reach out to the patient and they help line up the other services. In-person contacts, they had over 1,100, but they provided over 2,240 different services to the people of this community.
Let me tell you, Brianna, I'm saying particularly, since the fire we had at Lennox, there's one fella that he's got some mental issues. He works some, but I have never seen such dedication, because I've been on the phone with her almost every day, because he will forget to fill out his application, or he can't, for the apartment to live in, and so they made copies for him. They actually met him at the gateway and helped him fill out the last part. He's now got an apartment, but it took yesterday. It took over a week, but they stayed right with him, and it was just he wouldn't have been able to be where he is today if it weren't for Brianna and was his social worker.
Yes, sir. I was just pulling up she sent me an update a little bit ago about the two young children that they've been working with, and had your name all over it. So I know you're familiar with that one. Hope City Church has really taken a big stance with us and giving a lot of donations to those people that lost everything, and several other agencies. So, it's been a big community effort for everyone. Our training division has been significantly busy over this last year. Just looking at their stats, we did over 5,800 hours of hazardous materials training, 1,300 hours of officer training, 1,700 hours of ARF training. Most of that is federally required by the FAA, including we have to send every person that works at the airport out of state right now to go to live fire training for what they call a live burn every year. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get a facility within the state yet that can do annual training. We have one that can do the immediate initial training for new personnel, but to get updated training, every airport in the state that has firefighters has to send them out of state currently for recertification. Drivers training around 3,400 hours and around 6,400 hours in EMS training alone. Usually that is one of those things that it takes 48 hours for a basic EMT, I misread my number. It's 60 hours of Con Ed every 2 years to maintain the paramedic license, and 48 hours every 2 years for maintain the basic EMT license. We did have only two retirements last year. Fire Inspector Johnny Fulmer retired after 17 years. He had retired as a deputy chief from another department and came to Tuscaloosa to work for Tuscaloosa Fire, and was one of our inspectors and arson investigators. And then Captain Gene Pugh with 33 years. Those retirements necessitated the promotion of a captain, lieutenant, and ended up being 2 apparatus operators. Unit breakdown on the next section. I'll just go into the busiest. Battalion 2 was the busiest battalion chief with 1,485 responses. Rescue 21 had 2,594 responses. And Station 7, Engine 7 had 2,656 responses this last year alone. Through dispatch, inbound phone calls alone, they handled 16,729. Outbound calls, this could be to alarm companies or back to a caller, 16,339. Dispatches, and I've had a question on this, so I'll explain it as I'm saying it. We dispatched 18,164 separate dispatches. Now that does not match the number that I said a minute ago that we had over 16,000 runs. The reason for the difference is, let's say we dispatch Engine 1 out of Station 1 to a medical call down in Station 7's territory, or Engine 5 responds down in that area. If 7 was on a call and they got back in service, it's not a new dispatch. It's the same dispatch. Now just Engine 7 got in service for one call and they pick up their call in because they are the closest unit. We stopped about 4 years ago when we started looking at our amount of calls and the way we were dispatching, and went to AVL, or closest unit dispatch, which means whatever engine or ladder is closest to you, that's the one that gets the call. So that assures that the community is getting the fastest response possible by the fire department. Fire marshal's office, they had just over 1,087 new construction projects they worked on. They did 4,821 existing building inspections, 42 fire investigations. Then our pub ed data is also listed. Logistics division, which is our supply division, they're the ones that basically anything, they support every division within the department, from the fleet side, where we have currently 2 lieutenants working in that are keeping the trucks on the road longer than what, keeping them in service. Usually, before we had a mechanic within the department, something as small as windshield wipers going out on a fire truck, would take the truck off duty, because we didn't have anybody in the department that was approved or certified to work on an emergency response vehicle. It had to get taken off duty, sent to the shop. If it was during business hours, the shop did a great job as best they could, getting a quick turnaround. But now our guys can respond out in the middle of the night, take care of it. We don't have to keep them out of service maybe 30 minutes instead of 4 hours. That's all I've got that I was going to go over with you, but I'll answer any other questions you may have.
Chief, how often do you do the ISO?
ISO is every 5 years.
Every 5
They
years?
that is their standard. They stay on the 5-year schedule. During COVID, of course, it got a little bit hinky, so to speak. They even had to put off doing some cities, but ours did work out. They were able to catch back up, and we hit it at the 5-year point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you. We appreciate y'all being here.
Well, we appreciate everything y'all do in supporting, the programs and the funding that y'all provide us. We try to do the best we can with it. One of the best things I will say, and I want to make sure that you understand, we just completed up our annual physicals again. We don't mandate them, but we do strongly encourage personnel. Last year we did catch 5 cases of cancer. All but one were stage 1, one was stage 2. This year, and we caught a few cardiac issues. This year we've caught 1 cardiac issue that is going for a heart cath. So it is working, it is helping, and I think in the long run it's saving the city and the taxpayers money for us doing this. So we thank you very much for that and for helping save our people's lives.
That's a great
Thank you,
update.
Chief.
And I just want to say, Chief, I love to see how the social workers are still having a positive influence on the community and how they're integrated in the fire department. And also, I know Councilor Tyner and myself have been to the firefighter banquets, but that's just a great way to be able to see how our firefighters are appreciated throughout the community, and I always enjoy those. So thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Yes, we'll be doing that again this year in October, and next month we'll have the 3 days where we're feeding lunch from the International
Okay.
Firefighter Day, and we'll be sending out something to y'all. But, you know, the EMS prevention is a great program. It's done a lot of great, good things for this community. And we're excited to see PD now moving
So
into
am
the
I.
social work reform. So
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to Chief Blake.
All right. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I feel like for the last couple of months, we have deep dived into the department.
We
So I'm not
have.
gonna waste your time with a lot of trivial stuff today. I'm gonna kind of dive right into it, because we've talked about a lot of stuff the last couple of months. We focused a lot on this annual report, looking back on a 5-year trend to where crime actually is. The big five, which went back to 2019, and kind of looked at crime over the last 5 years, so you're gonna see a heavy focus on that this year in the 23 annual report, and it is available online as well as the fire departments. Burglaries from 2019 to 2023 are down 49%. Robberies from 2019 to 2023 down 69%. Vehicle break-ins, same time period, down 48%. Vehicle thefts, 54% in the same time frame. And our murders were down 21%.
Hey,
So-
Chief, let me ask you a question real quick. For vehicle theft, you know, there was one across the river in a neighborhood that she left the unlocked and the keys in it.
Yes.
Is that a theft?
It is. It's a theft. Yeah, if you steal a vehicle, we have a lot of vehicle break-ins, or where, you know, we'll get, and when you look at the numbers for vehicle break-ins, you'll get, if they go through a neighborhood or apartment complex, even if it's unlocked, doors open, doesn't matter. You own that vehicle, it's a vehicle break-in. And that's why you see those numbers, because in the neighborhood, you may have 15 or 20 in one night, to where they go through unlocked vehicles, pull handles, and that kind of stuff. So a lot of people think that to break in a vehicle, you have to break the window or break the door or something like that. Going into an unlocked vehicle counts the exact same. And then if they leave the vehicle running at a gas station, or when the cold winter months when it first starts, people go out and warm up their cars.
Yep.
We see where people get a car and steal them at that point. That's still a vehicle theft regardless.
Okay.
So some of the big numbers I wanted to get to that we haven't talked about in our monthly meetings, just basically our year-end totals. Patrol answered a total of 105,319 calls in 2023. That's 911, 349, 2121, and officer-initiated activity. A total of 79,942 calls came into the emergency and non-emergency line at dispatch. Patrol by themselves arrested 5,556 individuals on over 10,000 charges, misdemeanor and felonies. We worked over 5,600 accidents. The total arrest for patrol division was 6,239. Criminal investigations were assigned over 7,200 cases. They cleared 5,800 of those cases with a total of 1,165 arrests. West Alabama Narcotics Task Force had over 1,600 arrests for felony arrests and over 700 misdemeanor arrests, ran over 200 search warrants. So we took a total of 25,413 reports in the city of Tuscaloosa last year. As a council, y'all gave us a take-home car program. I'm proud to announce that every officer off probation now has a car. So we're really excited about that. That was a great initiative that has come through.
Every officer off probation.
Yes, sir.
What's probation?
That's your 1-year period. You're basically riding by yourself at that point. You made it through phases.
No.
Congratulations. You are an official officer that can do anything by themselves. So,
Okay.
yeah, they have a car. So that's pretty much our year in a glance. I know we've had a lot of meetings discussing a lot of things that Chief Smith went over, so I didn't want to duplicate that today.
Chief, there's some pretty big down numbers in here. Not little onesies, twosies. Burglaries
Yes, sir.
down, call it half, 49.8. Robberies down 2/3. Vehicle break-ins down half.
Yes,
Aren't
sir.
you afraid y'all gonna go out of business?
No, sir. Right now, we have seen an uptick this year in our UB&E and vehicle thefts.
That's what I was gonna, so.
We put a lot of people in
UB&E
jail
is
this
on
year.
the uprise.
Yes, sir.
And
We
what is unlocked break-ins?
Unlawful breaking and entry of a motor
Unlawful
vehicle.
breaking.
So that's any form of breaking in a vehicle by force or non-force. Like I said, we have seen an uptick in that and vehicle thefts this year. The one thing is our numbers last year, if you look from 2019 to where we're at, they've gotten very, very low. And we're trying to hold to that. But like I said, we've seen the uptick this year in that. We made a lot of arrests. Our criminal investigations division is doing an amazing job. And I can send you the amount of arrests that we've made. on those. But, unfortunately, people aren't getting a lot of time. Our court systems take a long time from arrest to actually go to court. So these people are back out on bond, and a lot of them do reoffend. But we're working hard to keep them in jail and lower those numbers. So
I was looking at some numbers from around the country this morning, and some of these places are up 100%, 170%, 70%, different crimes. These are pretty amazing numbers.
we're very proud of them. Like I said, one thing that we do now is, we meet every single day on every felony that was committed in the city. The day before, I know, Captain, you come to a couple of them and say we have a different way of policing. It takes a lot of work, but there's a lot more buy-in, and we get more immediate results of knowing that, hey, look, we had 3 cars broken into last night. We've got to do something around that neighborhood and these other neighborhoods, and shift resources throughout the city.
What's y'all's biggest time eater?
I'm sorry.
What's the thing y'all look at it and go, God, oh my, not more of that. What is
Our thing is guns left in vehicles that are stolen.
Guns left in
We
vehicles.
have every single morning 2 or 3 guns left inside unlocked vehicles that are stolen, and we know that those guns are going to be on the streets. We had a very busy weekend. I think everybody knows that in Tuscaloosa. VCU closed out both those cases, with arrests, and it's just the amount of gun violence and the amount of guns that are in vehicles that these youth and other people are stealing.
And is the gun violence tracked anywhere in here?
As far as our murder rate's in here, but our murder rate was actually
But that
lower
you don't
last
have to be
year.
murdered with a gun.
No, I give y'all
But our gun violence, how,
Yeah.
how do we? Because if you're the normal citizen or resident and you're reading the news or watching the news every day,
Yeah.
you're thinking, "Oh my Lord, they're just banging away on all sides."
We track it. Councilman Fail's actually been to our monthly meeting that we have every month. That we actually put up all of our assaults, all of our attempted murders, shooting occupied dwellings, shooting unoccupied dwellings, and unoccupied vehicles,
And how are those in general?
So shooting into occupieds are up. Attempted murders are up. Murder is down. So you just see these trends
So
going
they're
back
just-
and forth.
Worse shots?
Sir?
I said just poor marksmanship.
I don't want to say that. I just think that you got a lot of people that are just shooting. They're not looking where they're shooting, and it's something. But the problem is you get a lot of innocent people that do get hit during those times because these weapons fire very quickly.
And it's innocent bystanders.
Yes, sir.
We had, and this is unbelievable to me, but I got some complaints about some gunshots in Juanita Drive, for example. 2, 3, maybe. Not one of them filed a police report.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
But then they want me to do something about it, or look at the cameras and see if they see. I'm going like, well, what day was it you filed a police report? Oh, we didn't file a police report.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that.
One of the biggest things that we can tell people, if you've got a Ring camera or you've got a ADT camera or a Blink or anything like that's one of the best things because if something happens, you can send us the data off of it. We can look at it. We ID a lot of suspects off of it, a lot of shootings. Because if a shooting happens down here and somebody runs by, we can ID off of that. So technology, helps us every single day. The city invests a lot in our cameras throughout the city, and they help us a whole lot.
But they should file a report
If you hear gunshots, we definitely want you to call us. We'll
Especially
normally
if it
get,
goes to your roof, right?
yeah, and the other thing we can do, if we get a call over here and a call over here, we can kind of pinpoint, possibly where it's at. But if your house is damaged, then absolutely.
So Chief, would you say that we have problems with stolen guns every week? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying every day?
we have guns stolen out of vehicles every single week. We need people to lock their cars.
And what's the
That's just
average?
not here. That's a nationwide problem.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
But so many people do not lock their vehicles, and they leave their guns in their vehicles. And we've tried to run Facebook campaigns and other things. I know the city's run campaigns on it before. That's just, if you can just lock your vehicle, it helps us lock. 'Cause a lot of people, they're not going to want to make the noise of breaking a car, but they are going to go through, and it's a crime of opportunity, and try and go through as many vehicles as possible.
Okay. And where are we with our social worker position?
They've been posted. I'm
Okay.
not sure when it closed. It may have already closed.
To go.
I think it's a little bit. We know we've got a lot of interest in it. There's been a lot of phone calls, but we're super excited about doing that, and they'll be working very closely with TFD social workers.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's 1 week.
Okay. So 1 week left on that.
Well, they
I can already see how that's going to be a big help.
Yeah, we're super excited about
Yeah.
that.
Well, is there anything else coming before the committee? If not, then if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.